Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Let's Get Grading podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. So happy to be here with you this evening. I hope that you're having a blast. I hope things are getting done for you. Hope you're knocking your goals out of the ballpark and that you are surpassing your expectations by being gritty. Now, let's get to our show. First things first, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on Swain Girl Media, hosted by Precious Swain. It will also be on Spotify. So just look it up and you'll find all those episodes there. Next thing is I want you to check out my website whenever you get a chance. That's www.india-white.com for more books, blogs, and to also schedule me for your next speaking event wherever you are in the nation. Also, I want to remind you of my social media. I would love for you to follow me when you get a chance. Let's connect. Let's follow each other. Let's keep it gritty and be awesome. So first things first, my Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White. And Threads is Indie238. I want to remind you of the new Grit Mini Workshop on the Grassroots Workshop website. Please check that out, grassrootsworkshops.com. And I think you can just do a search like grit and you should be able to find my awesome Grit Mini Workshop titled How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. Take advantage of that, teachers. Talk with your department heads and your leaders about, what you guys can do together, whether that's like a PD or whatever on it. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to take advantage of. Now, I also wanted to remind you guys that I will be in different parts of our nation hanging out with you folks. So first things first, I will be in Las Vegas at the end of the month doing a really cool Sabbath conference, and it's going to be incredible. So if you guys are Sabbath users and you're rocking it out with the program and you're in the area, come and check us out. We'll be there. Also, I will be at Florida Council of Teachers of Mathematics in June in Orlando, Florida. So join us there. Also, the CAMPS conference in July. You can also check me out at NCSM and NCTM in September. That's in Chicago. And also an ICTM in October in Iowa. I will be there as a featured speaker. Can't wait to see you good folks all over. And of course, there are more to come. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone that has ever considered using me as a speaker or allow me to come in and, train your principals, your leaders, your teachers. And we've been able to do great work together. Listen, I know it's a lot of heavy work at times, but, we're better together. So thank you so much for, allowing me to stick it out with you and allowing us to grow together and explore together and to be gritty together. Thank you. Now, I want to also, want to now go into our show. Now, this show, I'm thinking about as we're ending the school year and we're working with students that are crossing over to graduation, military, teachers that are crossing over into the next part of the profession, whether that's administration or teaching a different class or whatever, going back to school. There's like all these different things. So I want to talk with you today about overcoming a fear of grit. And the reason why I thought of this is because like you would think that people would be like, oh yeah, let's do grit, let's be gritty. Not everybody's on that bandwagon. And I think sometimes it's also because there's a fear of success, there's a fear of grit. And so I did some digging for you guys and wanted to talk about that in this show today. I just want to say, whenever you're ready to embark upon a new journey, a new opportunity, it's always going to be a little bit intimidating. You might even face, imposter syndrome. You might try to self-sabotage. There's all different types of things. There's doubt, there's fear, there's anxieties, there's worries, there's, the naysayers, there's people that are mean well, but are trying to talk you down, talk you out of ideas and out of opportunities, and whatnot. And so I want to encourage you and just let you know you can do it. Keep the great resilience in time. Now, I've already told you about Dr. Duckworth and her definition of grit. I do totally believe in giving credit to where credit is due. So she said that grit is when you have passion and perseverance to attain a long-term goal, right? And so, with this said, she really kind of laid down the groundwork. And then, of course, I came up with an acronym for us to remember, which is Great Resilience in Time. But in this show, I want to really talk today about why people have certain fears of success and things like that, and how they can, use grit to kind of help them. So we first want to talk about, okay, now that we know what grit is, let's talk about how imperative it is to have grit and to master grit so that we can walk into some new doors and new opportunities. So first things first, whenever we do master grit, what happens? First off, we overcome that fear of success. Then we overcome a fear of failure. We stick to our commitments and we hold ourselves accountable. This is what happens whenever we do become gritty and we decide to take a risk. I was thinking about, like, what if people are like, okay, well, great resilience in time. Okay, that's cool. But just in the gist of things, what else is grit? Grit is that risk factor. It's when you take a risk towards success. It's like when you, like, the first time you dived off of a swimming, like from a swimming pool, and you dived off of the diving board. The first time you've done that, there were those butterflies, I think I was like 7 years old or something like that. And then, how we used to do the belly flops and all that stuff. Oh my goodness. But long story short, there's some risk there. There's some fear because you're like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't go right? What if I land wrong? What if it hurts my stomach? There's like all these different fears. Or, when you're diving in the deep end and you're like, oh my word, what if I hit because at that age, 7 and 9, like, you're not really rationally thinking out everything. So you're thinking, what if I dive so deep that my head hits the hits the ground of the pool and all this. And so there are those risks, but we tend to overcome them. And then we just enjoy, the journey of being a swimmer. And so I say that because in this similar context, this is how students feel sometimes when it comes down to their success. What if things go well when I graduate? What if I go to college and what if I don't really connect with my roommates? Or what if I don't really understand my classes? What if I flunk out? What if I'm not fit for college? What if, there's like all these different things. And so unfortunately, those do impact us. And so as a result, students can have a fear of failure and a fear of success. When you're writing a book, there's a fear of, is your audience going to receive your content, or are they going to criticize you and throw tomatoes at you, throw eggs at you, pull you apart, and say, you're a liar, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, there are all these fears that people have to overcome. And so those are some things that we have to understand when we are trying to help people also with their gritty experiences, to also empathize with them, right? And say, listen, whether you fear success or you fear failure, still take a risk. And so they have to be able to calculate enough to say, I'm going to take a risk no matter what happens. And so when they're able to tap into that type of growth mindset, that's where grit really comes into play. Now, the reason why grit is so imperative is because in order for you to have enough passion, right, to want to persevere, you need to have grit, like, or else you're not going to take a risk for anything. Who cares, right? I mean, thank goodness for everyone that has served our country. Like, Lord knows, I have so much respect for everyone that has ever served in armed forces. God bless them all. But all of them, when they had to go to boot camp and when they have to be sent out, to various countries and whatnot, every single one of them have had to take a risk. And I'm sure, long story short, they have to be gritty and they have to choose, I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to take a risk towards success and successfully, being who I was enlisted to be as I'm serving my country. So, I think every soldier nationwide and just around the world, kind of has that grittiness about them. So when you think about it, it is really centered around risk. Because the thing is, when you're taking a risk, you're at least taking a step forward. You're taking a step forward in uncertainty where it could go either way, but it's like you have a faith that things are going to work out for your good. It's going to work out for the best. And so that's the power of grit. And so with that said, I want to talk about some tips and stuff that I found for you guys when it comes down to being gritty, and just share with you some things. The first things we're going to talk about is the fear of success. And what is the fear of success? So many people deal with that, right? And so, I mean, you would be amazed. You would think not, but yeah, people do fear success because sometimes it's like, okay, once you succeeded, then what? But my thing is just keep building, keep climbing, keep doing great, you know? So let's read this article here. So it says the fear of success involves being afraid of achievement, often to the point that people will sabotage themselves. Yes. So things could be going great in a relationship, and then they're just doing all kinds of things, saying all kinds of things to sabotage it. They can curse out, people that they're working with just to get fired, or, just like all these weird things because there's this fear of success. And so it says here, while success is generally viewed as desirable, there are reasons why people may fear of doing too well. It's important to recognize that people often don't fear success itself, right? Their fear is centered on the potential consequences of success. This is powerful. And it says, because expectations of success are often based on the idea that achieving your goals means making sacrifices or enduring losses, it is perhaps not surprising that people may be weary of what success might ultimately cost them. And I think what happens is when you start taking that fear and turning it into, I get the opportunity. I know sometimes, teachers jerk around, like, I get to come to school. I get to, but I mean it. Like, I get to do this work. I get to make this choice. I get to invest in this, whatever it is. I think that's what's going to help with that optimism and that growth mindset. And so, like, for my own situation, I'm so thankful for the tribe, especially the TEDx tribe that helped me with this particular podcast. My TEDx family, and how people were like, yeah, go ahead and start a podcast. And they like walked me through it and they helped me. And at first I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And I was really nervous, believe it or not. But then I said, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to do the thing. And I'm not looking back. And I made a commitment that, no matter the cost, I'm going to be here and I'm going to show up for y'all as long as I can. And the thing is, that is what it is. I think that risk, that cost element. What does it cost for me to be that boss, or to start, writing that book, start that business, start that nonprofit? Woo! Right? Because it's like you want it and you have these great ideas, but do you want to put in the time to work? Or you see these bodybuilders that look fabulous, right? And it's like they just have this image that we all just admire as we sit back and eat our popcorn and drink our Starbucks. At the same time, we are also like, wow, like they look incredible. And maybe one day I'll get there. But at the same time, they sacrifice. Like their body is their work. That's like their way of working. So they have to watch everything. They can't miss a workout. They can't miss the protein, like, all that stuff. And kudos to them. Kudos. They look fabulous. Keep looking fabulous if you're in that category. But, the risk, I'm sure many of them, when they got started, they're like, oh God, that means I got to work out this much. I've got to eat this way. I got to cut the carbs, got to do this. Can't eat after this time. We got to fall in love with water. And, like, I'm sure there's like all these different things. Get me a physical fitness trainer and all these different things that they had to choose to sacrifice in order, to be great in that field of work. But hey, it's paid off, right? And so I think that, at the end of the day, if there is a fear of success, we have to choose, you know what, I'm going to continue to move forward in this until I reach success. And then I'm going to keep moving forward in that direction of success, right? No matter what, until I either have something different that comes along with my purpose. And so I want to stop here too and say this. Life is all about your purpose. And I think that when you're really gritty, it's because you know what your purpose is. Like, what is your purpose, right? What is your purpose? Like, why do you wake up and do what you do every day? Why are you gritty about particular parts of your passion, your purpose? What are you trying to fulfill? Are you trying to leave behind a legacy? Are you trying to build a legacy? Are you trying to honor someone? Like what are you trying to do? You're trying to establish something, or you have something to prove. Find out what it is that would help you, so that when you're trying to overcome a fear of success, you have something positive like that to tie it to. So you can dedicate your success to a loved one. You can dedicate your success to, a new idea that you have, something that you really wanted to launch for a while. But whatever you do, don't unplug on yourself. Don't self-sabotage because there's a fear of success. keep going no matter what. So let's keep it moving. So then here it says, so this article, they're going to talk with us today, guys, about signs, causes, and effects of the fear of success. Very interesting. So there are characteristics, a lack of goals, right? Low expectations. Also, giving up. Many cases, people derail their own successes by quitting right before it seems that they're about to succeed. Some people will drop out of school, right? Because it's just too good to be true. Like if they're first generation graduate and it's like, what? Like, I'm going to be the first. And then it's like, well, oh, I don't know if it's worth that, So they'll unplug because it's just, they're comfortable, right? So that's another challenge. There's also here, they say procrastination, putting things off until the last possible minute. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I think we've all procrastinated in some area or another, whether that's getting ready for the day, working on an assignment. I know for me, if I was working on a topic that I didn't care too much for in school, I would procrastinate. If the assignment was due at 5 p.m., I'm turning it in at 4:58 because I'm not passionate. And that's the thing about grit is learning what makes you passionate and learning how to make yourself passionate. Like it's like this inner passion. You've got to learn this inner resolve. Like you've got to learn how to maneuver through your own grittiness and your own passion to keep yourself moving forward so that you don't procrastinate. Is that positive mindset? Is that, positive messages? Is like optimism? Is that self-efficacy? Is that reminding yourself of the bigger vision? Whatever you do, you've got to remain resilient and keep moving forward, despite how much you want to procrastinate on particular goals. Now, let's keep it moving. So self-handicapping is the next thing that they spoke about here. They say people who fear success may place obstacles in their own path that decrease their chances of doing well. So that's minor acts of self-sabotage, right? So, and then identifying the fear of success. So let's talk about this, especially with students. So it says here, these things include being afraid of what will happen if you were in the spotlight. So it's one thing to talk about it, but then when you really start thinking about it, are you really ready for that spotlight? Whatever it is, graduation, is it an engagement? Is it a job? Is it like, what is it? Also, worrying about leaving people behind if you move forward. This is big, especially in certain cultural groups where it's like you don't want to let go of your culture because of your success. So it's like you almost have to choose between your culture and success. And then here, feeling anxious about acquiring new responsibilities, right? What comes with it. Here it says being worried that things will just get more complicated than what you can handle. And then here, fearing comments from naysayers or worrying about experiencing other social problems. Very interesting. And they have a reference here, Yilmaz. This is the fear of success and life satisfaction. Wow. In terms of self-efficacy. That's a pretty powerful journal article here. If you guys want to dig in and be dorky, fear of success and life satisfaction in terms of self-efficacy. Powerful. All right, let's keep going. And so it says here, identifying a fear of success often involves looking at patterns of behavior over time. What do you do right before you hit it big? Like, do you self-sabotage? Do you go quiet? Do you actions? Do you start acting irrational? Like, what do you do? And then, of course, here we go. Causes of the fear of success. Here you go. Imposter syndrome. It can also contribute to the fear of success. Sometimes people who experience success fear their achievements are undeserved or not as good as others in the field. Huge, right? People may fear that they won't be able to live up to expectations, or that other people will, discover that they aren't up for the challenge. There's also misinterpreting feelings associated with success. So excitement and anxiety, they have the same physical signals. They talk here about fear of backlash. There's also negative experiences. There's also poor self-efficacy. So it could be somebody else's beliefs. And it could also influence behaviors and motivations to go after your goals. There's also the shyness or social anxiety that people deal with, or the impact of the fear of success. So this just goes on and on. We really can go on. Then they're talking about different treatments. So I got this from verywellmind.com. I thought it was very interesting that they shared that with us. So thanks for letting me share that. And I think, just to say here to everyone, you know, we we all have our goals and those things that we're striving for. And I think the most important thing, besides of course keeping a growth mindset and having that passion, that resilience, that perseverance, is to also make sure that you're being taken care of by your tribe, and that you're also taking care of your tribe, um, you know just so that you know that you're continuing to move forward. It's very imperative. So I'd highly recommend that you do that as you're continuing to thrive and be successful. Now I want to go into a success story of a young woman who, she really was very successful, and she was very gritty. So she overcame her little fears of success. So here she was 17 years old. She's
out of Alabama this weekend with a master's degree.
That's right. You heard that correctly. She's 17 years old. Brian Henry joins us now from West Alabama. Brian, this is a parent's dream.
Very much so, Jen and Jonathan. Leanna Roberts had no secret method, no silver bullet. She decided long ago to do well in academics, and she credits her parents. Leanna Roberts stood in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it dawned on her what tomorrow will bring, a realization she's accomplished so much in just 2 years.
Looking back 4 years ago when I started high school, I would never have imagined. This was never a plan that I had or something that I saw on the cards for myself.
The cards fell in her favor. Roberts graduated from Central High School in Tuscaloosa at 15 years old, and on that very same day, she earned an associate's degree in science from Shelton State Community College.
When I started the 9th grade year, I knew that I wanted a challenge, and I began taking dual enrollment courses at Shelton State Community College.
And that's not all. Leanna Roberts entered UA as a junior and earned her undergraduate degree in biology at 16 years old. On Saturday, Roberts will walk on stage to receive yet another degree.
A master's in business administration with a healthcare management concentration.
And she's only 17.
Yeah, so I think from an early age, my parents really poured into me. I always had a love for reading.
Roberts did admit when she enrolled at Alabama, she found the learning more challenging, but overcame it by simply driving through it head first.
I really had to buckle down, reevaluate, and learn different study habits.
Did it ever? 6 chords signifying a well-rounded person on her academic journey.
Another one is for the MBA Society.
And the learning won't stop. Leanna Roberts continues her schooling in June, another master's to conquer at UAB.
And that's what makes us unique.
Through it all, Leanna Roberts says she's never lost sight of one thing, and that one thing, she says, really isn't a secret to turning the page to greatness.
Well, find out what really suits you, what gets you going, and change.
I think that's very commendable. She has a lot to be proud of, and kudos to her teachers and to those that supported her along the way. Of course, we all hope that our children can, come out, wonderful like her. And, we just have to continue to support our children as well, as parents and guardians, to remain gritty. So, that young woman is an example of, just what it looks like to be successful and to have that success. And so it's possible, so I hope that I'm able to leave here with the hope for you that, no matter what your endeavors are, you are able to overcome your fear of grit and fear of success, fear of failure, and continue to move forward. If you're an educator and maybe you have fear of, are my kids going to be able to pass? I'm not sure. Or I fear that my kids might not be able to. I want to just send a kind word of encouragement and to let you know that you do have what it takes to help your students to persevere and to be successful, even in your classroom. And so just continue to do your best. But whatever you do, don't unplug, don't give up no matter what. And know that the best is still yet to come for your situation, for your students. So I appreciate you guys joining me today on the show as we spoke about a fear of grit and overcoming that fear. Continue to keep that positive mindset, that self-efficacy, continue to move forward, and knowing that it's inevitable that success will evolve once you take a risk, and that risk will be able to be fulfilled and you'll be able to thrive through grit. So with that said, thanks so much for joining me on the Let's Get Ready podcast with yours truly, Dr. G.R.I.T. Again, some announcements for you. This show will be aired on Swing Girl Media Channel, and it'll also be on Spotify. So I'll send the link for you guys if you wanted to listen to it on Spotify. Also, please check out the website, www.india-white.com, for blogs, books, and to schedule me for your next speaking or coaching event. I also wanted to remind you of my social media. So if you ever get a chance to follow me, Facebook is Miss India White, LinkedIn is The India White, Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach, Instagram is Indie238, YouTube is India White 123, and TikTok is Dr. India White. I also wanted to remind you of a couple of events. I'll be going to a conference at the end of the month, a Sabbath conference at the end of the month. I'll be going to FCTM in June. Also, there will be a camp conference in July. NCSM is in September along with NCTM. And then there's also Iowa in October. So hopefully I can catch you at some of those events. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of you that have always connected with me and collaborated in some way or another. I'm super excited and can't wait to see what else is around the corner. So with that said, continue to stay gritty no matter what. And I am super excited to be back on here with you guys. And thank you so much for your support. So I will see you next time. Okay. So stay gritty. See ya.